That works.
That works.
Today is February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. My name is Drewby. I'm tall, single, ready to mingle, and this is my co-host, Michael.
Michael is what they call me sometimes. Other people call me Mikey. Other people call me short person. Just depends on the mood I'm in.
We're here to waste some of your time. About an hour.
Some of it, maybe all of it, we haven't really decided. Some people have claimed that we go a little long. Some people claim that we waste a lot more of their time than we actually may intend. So bear with us. And who knows? Maybe it'll be a lot of fun.
It's like 9:40, so it's late for some of us, mainly Drewby.
What?
That's me.
Throwing me off. Yes. It's pretty tired for Drewby. Drewby's pretty tired right now.
Yeah, I have a hard time functioning after like 9 o'clock.
Just be thankful you're not in a raid right now.
Yeah. If I were in a raid right now, I'd start sucking about now.
Yeah. And now maybe a little bit earlier, but
yeah.
Point
so
is you'd be sucking.
If you may have noticed, we didn't have any podcasts last week.
No, that was all Drewby's fault.
We kind of wanted to do a situation like this. We wanted to mess with the video, but Drewby had a game to see, I had a game to see, and then mostly Michael got lazy.
Yeah, I played a lot of Dark Souls. Lots and lots of Dark Souls.
Yeah. So, if you remember, on our last show, we talked about our Dark Souls challenge and how we were going to see if we could get each other to complete that game. I think both of us been playing it quite a bit.
A little bit too much, me more than Drewby, but definitely we've both been playing it quite a bit.
Yeah, we've been getting pretty far. I'm about to beat the second boss, or the second bell tower boss, which kind of the story at the outside of the game is you have to beat the bosses at both bell towers, ring those, and then I don't know what you have to do next.
No. I don't know. You'll find out. It gets pretty interesting after you ring those bells.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think my favorite thing about this game is right when you think you have everything figured out, you get to a new area and you immediately get pummeled by the first enemy that you see.
Unless you're me, and then you just get pummeled by everything you see regardless.
Yeah. So, this is going to get confusing if we continue this on.
I was going to wonder how long we were going to keep this up.
Yeah, so Michael, got to that area after you open that gate. It's called Sen's Fortress or something. I immediately got killed by the first enemy.
Nice.
So, I think this game still has a lot of surprises in store for me.
Yeah. I'm still enjoying it. Right before actually Mike came over for us to record the show, I was working on the last boss, the giant spider boss, and I tried multiple times. I got so close, within like an inch of her life. I almost beat her, and then she killed me. I tried multiple times. I'm confident I will beat her. It's not. I just need a little bit more time to do it. But the exploration has been really interesting too. I feel like I've been having an easier time with the game. I honestly feel that this game has been a little bit too easy. Whether that's built up to the massive amount of hype of how difficult this game is, or just the fact that I am just that good at this game.
Yeah. I don't know if I said this to you off air or not. I think that the game is overhyped on how hard it is. You just have to play it differently than you would play any other game. You have to play it very patiently and cautiously. You can't just run into an area. Before I keep going, so I want to do both an audio and a video version of this. You won't notice this if you're listening to the audio. We have lights on our faces, and it's really hot. It's making me sweat a bunch, which you might be able to see in the video. I don't know, but I'm going to keep wiping my head probably the entire show.
I'm doing fine right now. But then again, you've got the light way closer to your face.
Yeah, and you're wearing a sweatshirt, so I would still expect you to get hot.
We'll see what happens.
Anyway.
I'm kind of hot.
So we talked a bunch about Dark Souls last week. I'm going to kind of skip through that this week. If you want to neither of us have really put too much streaming on. I put one boss on. I thought about putting one on today, but the guy that I told you I was going to stream, I ended up being first try day, so
Okay.
it wasn't. I didn't even really get a chance to do that. But see, we'll continue talking about our Dark Souls challenge more later because we talked about it so much 2 weeks ago, not last week.
Right.
But there was a news article that I found last week that I wanted to talk about, which was the story. I found it on Game Informer that the 3DS and the Wii U, so Nintendo's console and handheld divisions, are now integrated together. Evidently, they used to work on these divisions separately, completely unrelated, and I think that's kind of what caused some of Nintendo's problem, where like Sony and Microsoft, more so with Sony because they have a handheld, their platforms are integrated. We have a single login and everything syncs between everything.
Yeah.
The Wii U and the 3DS aren't like that. If you buy Super Mario Brothers on your Wii U Virtual Console, you don't have it on the 3DS. And there's a lot of games that are available on the Wii U Virtual Console that aren't available on the 3DS. The main reason that this story excites me is I want to see more like SNES games available on the 3DS. It's not, of course, the 3DS can run a SNES emulator, but for some reason right now none of that stuff is available. And I really want to see some of that stuff come out. I think it would be good for you since you haven't played as many of the older games.
Yeah. We talked about this last week on the show. I got to play a bunch of SNES games and other types of games as well, NES games. I really enjoyed playing those old games. I want to get back into playing those old platformers like Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario World. The idea of, I don't own a Wii U. The only really modern Nintendo console I own is the 3DS. So me buying all these games on a 3DS isn't really that big of a deal to me. But as someone who's minorly interested in a Wii U, not really a whole lot, but minorly, it's kind of a big deal. And not just for me, the minor player, but also a lot of the people who actually have these systems, for those to be integrated together as far as a singular login, a singular online platform. Being able to play those, I definitely, that should happen. It's just another example of how far behind Nintendo is in their
online infrastructure.
Their online infrastructure. I mean, Xbox 360 had this last year. Even Sony, when they started with their PSP last gen, had single login for their PSP and for their PSN users for the PS3. So this is not something that's new. Nintendo, once again, is just showing how far behind they are on a lot of these concepts. But it's definitely something that they need to do if they ever want to get back into the game in a big way.
Yeah. So I do want to get a Wii U. I like some of the more first-party Nintendo stuff. I like the Marios and the Zeldas. But neither of us are really doing that right now. Have you ever played a Final Fantasy game?
I have a couple. I've played Final Fantasy X. That was loaned to me. I didn't beat it, but I played through. I would consider several hours of that game. I played Final Fantasy Tactics for a couple hours. I had that on my PSP. Those are the two biggest ones that I've played.
I asked because the developer just dropped a new 3DS title, the Bravely Default.
I've seen some stuff for that.
Yeah, that's not a Final Fantasy title, but it's basically it's made by the Final Fantasy developers, and it's a lot like an old Final Fantasy game with just a slightly tweaked battle system.
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of looks interesting. It's on one of my... I think I have a list of 4 games right now that I want to play, which is like Bravely Default, the Banner Saga, Jazz Punk, and some 4th game that I can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Are all these games that have released this year?
Yeah, games that have semi-recently.
Okay. The Banner Saga, I'm somewhat interested in, but Bravely Default, I mean, the stuff that I've seen for that game, it looks just like a Final Fantasy game. That style of gameplay doesn't super interest me. But it's I was actually looking at Final Fantasy X, thinking about how I might get back into that. And Final Fantasy X, they're actually releasing an HD remake for the PS3 and for the PS Vita, and so I've actually thinking somewhat about maybe picking one of those up and trying to get back into a Final Fantasy game, because that would be actually something that I would like to chalk up. It's like, hey, I beat a Final Fantasy game, considering how popular those games are, not just in Japan but in North America as well.
Yeah, I've never actually beat a Final Fantasy. I think I told you the other day I played like 6 different Final Fantasies. I own quite a few of them, but I've never actually completed one all the way through.
How many have you played?
I've played 1 and 2 and 3 and 7 and 13.
Okay. Which one, if you were to go back and play one, which one would you play?
I don't know. 7 is a go-to, one that everybody loves, but I kind of want to play 13 just to see, like, everyone talks about how crazy ridiculous that game kind of gets, how off the rails it gets at the end, and it has 2 sequels that have come out recently, or, since the launch of that game. I kind of want to see what 13 is like, and I already have that on the 360 as well. It's a beautiful game. I played hours of it, but I did not finish it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I guess what I'm hearing is if we ever played one, I'm gonna play 10. You're gonna play 13.
Yeah. So 10, by the way, is getting a HD re-release on the Vita.
Did you
just say that? I wasn't paying attention.
That's not a problem. I just mentioned that. If I was to go back and play that, I think I'd probably just pick it up on the Vita because I don't play my PlayStation 3 anymore. I don't have a whole lot of reason to go back and pick that thing up.
Yeah, I still need to beat The Last of Us, and Dark Souls 2 is on the PS3, so I'll probably keep mine out mine's in my bedroom. I use it as a DVD player right now, but I'll probably keep some use out of mine. Maybe eventually I'll play Persona 5 when it comes out on the PS3 in like a year and a half or whatever that is.
Maybe. Yeah. But you've actually you should probably beat Persona 4 first.
I did beat Persona 4.
Did you really?
Yeah, I beat Persona. I saw the credits on Persona 4. I count that as beating Persona 4.
I'll take that as a yes, and you beat that game.
So, this morning, GameSpot decided to do a live stream of a new game that came out on beta today, and Drewby decided to try to get a beta key by pandering to GameSpot and tweeting at them 11 different times begging for a beta key. What game was this for, Drewby?
This game was Titanfall, which looks amazing, by the way. I've seen a lot of footage of that today from the Giant Bomb guys, from the GameSpot guys. Other people were putting streams out as well. That game looks I'm really excited about that game. I was not... This morning when I woke up, I was not like, oh yeah, Titanfall. I'll probably pick that up. But I wasn't super excited. I can tell you right now, at the end of the day, I'm super excited for that game.
It's just super weird. I was super excited for this game when I first heard about it. And since I've been talking to most of my friends, with the exception of you, nobody really is getting it. So my excitement has kind of died out for it since it's a multiplayer shooter. Everything about that game and my excitement for it depends on my friends having it. Yeah. I've gotten less excited for it, and you finally watched gameplay. Had you not seen gameplay before?
I'd seen some gameplay, but I hadn't really invested myself too much into it. I guess one of the reasons why I'm getting super excited also is that it's so close to me actually being released that it's more tangible at this point. It's not just trailer that you see at E3 and then we saw Halo 5, and it's like, okay, now. Yeah, that game will come out in 2 years. I haven't gotten the beta key yet, by the way, but I've entered into 2 different places to try and get that. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm really, really hoping that I can at least get something.
You can also go to twitter.com/Drewby132. I'm not gonna spell it because I'm gonna mess it up. I know. Well, it's late, but you can see all of Drewby's tweets at GameSpot and Danny O'Dwyer.
My attempts to get their attention. I actually did get their attention on one way. Chris Waters, I posted a question in the comments in the chat for one of the videos, and they actually read the question on the live. So that made me a little happy. So that game looks awesome. I'm really excited. I am generally more into shooters than you are anyway. So that kind of makes sense that I'd be more excited for this game than you. One of the things that somewhat interests me as well, Danny O'Dwyer mentioned this, and he's a GameSpot editor. said that he got when he played Titanfall at E3 this year, he got a similar feeling when he played Call of Duty 4 for the first time. Call of Duty 4, in a lot of people's opinions, and I think probably mine too, kind of changed the way we look at first-person shooters and the way that we play them, especially, and the way they're designed. A lot of people think that Titanfall is that next evolution in the first-person shooters genre. So similar to me buying and being a part of the PS4 and the next gen console launch, it's a little exciting as well to be part of the next gen of first-person shooters for this new generation. Titanfall is going to be out on the PC, Xbox One, and 360. Not coming to the PS4, which I'm a little sad about, but I can still play it on my PC. So I'm hoping to pick it up there when it comes out March 11th.
If I'm remembering correctly, it's actually the same developers of the original Call of Duty 4, right?
It is. We've actually talked about this on our old podcast, but the creators who did Call of Duty
Sauce.
Yes. On Gamersauce, we talked about this. Vince, I can't remember everyone calls them Vince and Zampella. That's like their last names. But it was a duo developer.
It's Weston Zampella.
Vince? It must be Vince Zampella and then Jason West. That's it.
Yep.
Wow, I pulled that out of the blue. They developed Call of Duty 4 as under the studio Infinity Ward. They did also Modern Warfare 2. At the end of Modern Warfare 2, there was a struggle, an internal struggle, and Bobby Kotick, evil Bobby Kotick, fired. Did he actually fired West, or did they leave?
He fired both of them.
Did they leave, or did he fire them? I don't remember.
I think he fired them.
Yes. Either way, there was a bad blood, and they left, and then Infinity Ward was handed off to new management. Weston Zampella got picked up by EA and started a new studio called Respawn. And for years, we had no idea what was going on. We knew they were working on some next-gen shooter, but we didn't know what it was. And then at E3 this last year, I think they finally came out and said, here's Titanfall. This is what we're going to be working on. This is what we have been working on and are going to release to you in 2014. So, Jason West is actually not with Respawn anymore. He left and went to do something else, but Vince Zampella is still there. And so the guys who actually are part of this evolution. One interesting thing that I will bring up and then we'll move on is Call of Duty 4 got run into the ground. Not just by other developers making the same type of game, but by themselves. Modern Warfare 2 was essentially the same game as Call of Duty 4 with very little iteration upon itself. It is entirely possible, and most likely will happen, I hope it doesn't, that Titanfall, while a new formula now, is going to get run into the ground by Respawn as they make our Titanfall 2, which means you can have one more Titan. Here's a new Titan, and here's some new maps. And then we'll sell you the old maps for Titanfall, as is known by EA and Activision themselves. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But so far, Titanfall is looking pretty good.
Pardon me.
Pardon you.
Yeah, so the game that I'm looking forward to, which I think you're also interested in, is the infamous Second Son.
Yes.
Which, some stuff came out about that game. I can't remember when, but I read about it, and it's basically, it plays a lot like the other Infamous games, which is not surprising to me.
No, it shouldn't surprise you at all. I mean, it's the same developer, same company.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be a huge jump. I just kind of hope that the story is more interesting like the first games as opposed to the second games, which I thought was, I don't know, it wasn't taken as seriously by itself, I don't think. You beat that game, right?
I beat both Infamous 1 and Infamous 2.
Yeah.
I liked Infamous. I liked both of them, actually. But I can definitely see where how people loved. I mean, the first one was a great game in multiple ways. I'm optimistic towards Infamous 2, not Infamous 2, Second Son,
mm-hmm.
Second Son. I'm not mainly because probably one of the first big PS4 games that's coming out this year since launch, and that interests me a lot. So. On top of the fact that it's an Infamous, it's in the same world. It takes place after the storyline of the other Infamous games. I mean, there's all these different things. The question is, though, is that are they on the head again? Or is it just going to be another clone? And so far, I think people I've heard who have played it actually like that game.
Yeah, they seem to think it's pretty interesting.
I don't know that I've heard a bad thing about it. Just a lot of people just cautiously optimistic about whether this thing is going to be any good or not. Tend to lean that it's going to be a pretty good game.
Yeah, so before we get off the topic of video games, we should probably say something about Flappy Bird.
Maybe? Should we?
Have you heard about the controversy surrounding this game?
There's no controversy in the video game industry. None at all.
Did you hear about the stuff about Flappy Bird, though?
I did. I did hear about it.
The fact that Flappy Bird is no longer available on iOS?
Or Android.
Is it available on Android?
Here's the funny thing. I downloaded it on Saturday, got pulled on Monday.
I don't think you can even play it on Apple phone anymore, can you?
I think you can.
I guess you can because somebody was selling an iPhone that had the game installed for like a lot of money.
I think that iPhone ended up going for over $100K.
Yeah, like thousands of dollars for some reason.
I don't understand.
I don't think the game is worth this much hype. Like, it's fun. It's addictive. I play it. My wife plays it. It's cool. Right. I don't think it deserves all of the hate or all of the love that it's getting from both sides.
No. Just real quick, it is not removed from the Apple Store, from the iPhone. You can still play it. I remember hearing someone say that there's a kill switch that Apple can throw it to remove an app, and they have not done that on Flappy Bird. If you have the game, you should be able to play it unless Apple decides to do something evil, which is totally possible. This thing got removed from the Apple Store, the Android Store. You're not going to be able to get it anymore. The Google Play Store, I should say. The developer came out and he said, basically, I'm going to pull this app. I don't want to play it. One of the reasons I heard someone said was because he in his mind he saw that people were getting addicted to it, and he did not want to make a game that was going to be super addictive. I heard that. I'm not sure if that's the true story or not.
That's what he said at one point, though. I think that a lot of his reasons for pulling it down may be the fact that he was getting all those death threats. Did you see any of the tweets that he was getting?
I didn't actually read the tweets, but I heard from several reliable sources that people were threatening his life because it was because he was pulling the app down, I believe, though.
No, before he even pulled the app down, just by making the app, he was getting hundreds of death threats because the game was hard, because they were angry at the game, because he ripped assets from other things to make the game. I mean, it uses the Mario pipe straight up and backgrounds that clearly resemble other games. Yeah. Like, people were hating him to extreme levels, which I think, caused the initial controversy that people were seeing, because he started talking after he was getting all these threats.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wanted to say, come on, dude, it's the internet. I mean, unfortunately, this thing happens to people every day, especially people at a celebrity status.
You want to say both kind of deal with it because this is the internet and this happens every day, but at the same time, you also want to be like, what the heck, internet? Mm-hmm. Why do we think that because we're behind a username that sending death threats to people over a video game is okay?
I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of the thing that we have to expect from the World Wide Web these days.
I mean, you get on YouTube and you can see the dredges of humanity just spawning pits for the putrid vial that is humankind on the internet.
Nice word usage. But on the other hand, if he's getting threat, it's his app. He has the total right to pull it from the stores if he wants to.
I don't think he was. He said he was making money on it. Mm-hmm. It does have ads in it, but it wasn't a free to play game that was constantly begging to give money. Mm-mm. It wasn't the typical phone game that I would consider. But he was making money on it, but he still chose to pull it.
Which is interesting. It kind of says something about the guy as far as what his motives are. He's not all about the money. If he was all about the money, he would have left it up there.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Not in this case. I don't have any problems with the game personally.
I have problems with it. It makes me angry, but I'm not gonna threaten death because a stupid bird flies into a pipe.
Well, that's just because you suck at the game.
What's your score? Is your higher than mine?
No, not yet. I'm working on it though.
Yeah,
But
so
I
you
don't
can tell me
think
I
I don't feel that you can yell at a developer and say, "Hey, you make me angry because your game is too hard." I mean,
I will if I saw the Dark Souls developers here today, especially after I kept getting killed by that one guy the other day, I would tell them, I'm not happy with you right now because I think that you made a game that hates me.
Maybe you're getting a little bit too into the game. Don't you think? If you're angry at the developers and not the gamer yourself.
Think about it. They built a trap that was intentionally meant to kill you over and over. I feel like if you had any justification to get mad at someone for making a game, that would be it.
Okay. I'm just gonna let you say that, because if we could argue about this, and we're just gonna never get off of our Dark Souls topic.
Or Super Meat Boy, which you suck at on the site.
I actually do suck at that game a lot. I will admit that game. I'm terrible at that game. I'm terrible.
So, this is unrelated, but we normally talk about stuff at the beginning of the show. As far as what we're doing, I'm bacheloring it up this week.
What a coincidence. So am I.
Yeah, my wife left me for a trip to go with... I think it's supposed to be a surprise, but I feel like by the time that we get this up, they'll be there. So she's going out to help my mom.
The internet's not fast at all.
Yeah, no. Well, especially not with my editing. To go out and visit with my grandmother as she's recovering.
Yeah.
So
good for her.
For whatever period of time that is taking place, I am taking care of myself. I have to clean the house and do my own chores. Something I have done for like mere days at a time previously in my life. I got married early.
Yeah, you did.
So we're going to find out how this goes.
Dog.
Usually what happens is I do my own thing, and then like the last 2 days before she comes home, I do like deep clean of the house, like scrub everything down because it gets gross.
Yeah, you can't really live like that.
My main goal right now is, while Amanda's gone, that we have mice in the house, and I'm gonna try to get them dead.
How are you gonna do that? You have a plan?
I have no plan right now. So I've used traps, regular traps.
Yeah.
I set traps. I put peanut butter on them, and they licked all the peanut butter off and didn't set the traps off. So then I put peanut butter and meat, and like tied the meat to the traps because I've seen my dad get that to work.
Okay.
They licked all the peanut butter from under the meat and left the meat.
Okay.
But didn't snap the traps.
These mice, man. What is up with them?
The mice that are in my house are some evolved breed that are ready to take all the food out of our cabinets down.
Jeez.
So then my dad gives us the sticky traps.
Okay. That sounds like it's going to work.
We put the sticky traps down. Amanda pulls the trap out. There's mouse hair all over it, so clearly it caught something, but it licked the peanut butter and got away.
What does mouse hair look like?
It's gross and gray. It's really fine.
I would imagine to be pretty fine.
Yeah, it's gross. I don't know. I
Weird.
could show you when you come over. It's still on the trap.
I'm
put
good.
it back under the washer.
I feel that that's just a warning to other mice. Say, hey. Or maybe not. It's more of a taunt. It's
More more like a victory of statue.
No, it's now a mice monument.
Yeah.
Like we conquered man and their traps.
So now I'm thinking about just getting poison and putting it in the basement, and if it dies, it dies.
When I used to work retail, and a lady was complaining about moles in her yard, and so she was coming in and looking for sulfuric acid to pour down the holes of the
serious business.
Maybe you should look into that.
I'm gonna have to start doing something. I've seen the mouse once. I think Amanda may have seen it once. I think Charlie hears it because he'll scratch at the wall sometimes. Yeah. So I don't know. They exist. I'm not crazy. They're licking the stuff off. They're just crazy mice.
Yeah, those crazy mice, man. Crazy
mice.
They be crazy.
Yeah. So you talked about reading Ender's Game.
Yeah. I talked about that, I believe, in the last show. I finally finished the book.
Good.
I've read this book that has been out for a long time. It's taken me a lot longer than it took you to read it, but I actually read it and I finished it. I liked it. It was. I'm not going to. Are we going to spoil?
No, don't spoil.
All right, we're not going to. I'm not going to spoil it. I liked it. I didn't. It took me. I don't know what to say. I can't really say anything without spoiling it. I liked the book, but it wasn't.
It has a very weird ending.
That's all I can say about
It's
it.
a very different ending than
Yes.
you are expecting in pretty much any story that
I've
you're
never
gonna read.
I've never read another book like this.
It is a plot twist that throws you for a loop in a way that you wouldn't expect at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's all I can. Unfortunately, that's all I can really say about it. If you guys want, maybe we can talk about it in another podcast and we actually go into detail about our thoughts over the book. But yeah, it was a different book. I'm glad that I've read it though.
It's a great sci-fi story about a super smart person, and it goes through what he's thinking in his head and the strategies that he's using to get where he wants to in the military.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty amazing. It's a pretty amazing feat. It's a boy genius. I mean, if you've seen movie posters or covers for any trailers, even for the movie Ender's Game that came out, you know, it's just like this kid who's in the military. It's pretty impressive. I think it'd be actually inspiring for a young teenager who's reading this book. It's like, yeah, the younger generation, go them.
Generation. You know, there are people that might listen to this podcast or watch this podcast that were not alive in the 90s. That were born past 2000. My brother-in-law John was born in 2000. How does that make you feel?
Old? It makes me feel old, especially when you can have conversations with these people. Like, it's not just like a little baby. It's like, yeah, babies are born all the time. It's like, no, you can have conversations with these people.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that makes me feel old.
Yeah.
I'm so old.
Did you ever listen to the album I recommended to you?
Yes, I did. I listened to it this morning at work. I paid more attention to the opening song. That was the one that you recommended specifically. But I actually did listen to the whole album. You recommended the Strokes. It's the name of the band. The album's name is Tap Out?
No, I think the album is called The Come Down Machine or Come Down Machine.
I know it's got like an RCA logo on the front.
Yeah, it's a super kind of retro sounding album. It actually came out last year, and I listened to it the week that it came out. But that was when I was doing some crazy album listening, and I forgot to go back to it. But the song Tap Out, I'm really hooked on right now. It's got a little funky beat and a nice little guitar riff that goes on. I actually was reminded of it from a playlist that I got from one of the guys from Daft Punk. It was on Spotify, and he published it. And that was one of the songs on the playlist. I was like, ooh, I remember this song. This is really, really good. So obviously it's on Spotify. I think you guys should check it out.
Yeah, I would recommend it as well. This is the second time I've actually gotten someone into the Strokes. At a previous job, we listened to it before, and I've listened to some of their other stuff. This new album, it's not bad. Not bad at all. I think it's probably one of the... I wish I could say that it just came out, because then then it might it'd make it onto the list for stuff that came out this year. But it's not bad. There's not much more to say about it. You think you nailed it?
Yeah. So the other album that I recommended was Restoring Force by Of Mice and Men. Did you get to hear that one?
I haven't listened to that one yet. No.
That one is like, I've used it before. It's like an angrier Linkin Park album. I think it would be a great album to listen to when you're frustrated at a Dark Souls or anything really. When you're driving, when you're jogging and working out, when you're lifting weights. It's kind of heavier, but not overly angry. I mean, it's kind of hard, but it's not like growly like Demon Hunter.
Okay.
Nor is it like super emo like Under Oath. It's just a good kind of solid hard rock album.
Interesting. No, that actually intrigues me because I actually like the harder stuff. You know, the Red, the 1,000 Foot Crutch, the.
It's kind of Red like.
Is it Red like? I love their
albums. It's
stuff is good.
It's a little bit kind of mainstream. Like it's The lyrics are nothing super special, but it's got a good headbanging beat to it.
Yeah. Okay. No, you piqued my interest. I'm going to check that one out.
I think it also hit the Billboard charts last week. It was definitely in the top 10. I want to say it was number 6 or 7, but I can't remember.
For
top albums sold last week.
Oh, okay. Nice. So we can add that. Now I got to check it out because I gotta listen to all this new music that's coming out this year.
I gotta work on my playlist to see if any of those songs deserve to go on my top 2014. It is 2014 playlist.
2014. Marty McFly comes here next year.
Is it really 2015?
Yeah.
Every year there's internet memes that say it was that year, and they have to be wrong because I've seen them every single year. Is it really 2015 that he comes back?
I almost paused it. Yeah.
I don't know. I have the Blu-rays. I'll have to watch them.
No, because he goes into the future 30 years, from 1985 to 2015.
1985.
Because he goes back to 1955 to meet his parents. He goes in the future to 2015 with vibes, and then when he goes all the way back into the Old West, it's 1885.
Great Scott,
Doc.
Nice.
That's my Marty five.
I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So. We'll just jump to our last topic because I'm super onto this topic right now. We've been watching the BBC Sherlock, which I think just a couple weeks ago ended with the last episode from this year's season series.
Yeah, this season, January.
It's British. I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, it's a season. They have season 1, season 2, and they just finished season 3.
I think they call them series though. But we call them seasons.
We call them seasons. On PBS, though, they call them seasons as well.
Okay.
So everything I've seen of the show is seasons. I'll have to go to BBC. They'll probably have the right thing. But yeah, these just released in January. They released them once a week on Sundays on PBS. And they did episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3 on a weekly basis.
If you don't know, there's only 3 episodes in a season. Mm-hmm. But they're an hour and a half long.
So, like, each episode is its own individual movie.
So, there's 3 movies a season.
Yes. And they're great. I really like them. I actually have been watching these, I think, longer than you have.
Yeah. Well, I watched the first one a long, long time ago. Like, when it was semi-new, but I didn't watch the others. Okay. I don't know why, because I ended up liking them, obviously.
Yeah.
It stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock and
Martin Freeman as Watson.
Who I love both of those guys. I really like Martin Freeman. Also of Hobbit fame as Bilbo Baggins.
He's Bilbo Baggins in the Hobbit movies.
Cumberbatch is also Smaug.
He plays Smaug in the you got your Sherlock pair in the Hobbit movie. He plays Benedict Cumberbatch. He's Khan in the new Star Trek film, which I really liked his role in that. I thought he was really impressive to watch. That film was one of the reasons
he has short hair in that, right?
He does have short hair.
That would be weird if I went back and saw that now.
It doesn't really bother me. It did bother me then because I really saw him in that first before I actually got into Sherlock. Mm-hmm. But these between Into Darkness, Star Trek Into Darkness, and Sherlock, I am a big Benedict Cumberbatch fan. I want to go back and watch his other films just because I really enjoy watching him act in the performances that he delivers. Martin Freeman did The Hobbit as well, which we've already talked about, and then he did Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I didn't realize he was in that.
Yes, he's the main protagonist in that. Arthur Dent is his name, and he's pretty good in that film too. That's a British comedy. So if you like British comedies, you should check that one out. I like it in that. I actually blew someone's mind because they'd seen that movie but not realized that was Bilbo Baggins or John Watson.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sherlock has come out. You actually just finished season 3.
Yeah, just finished season 3. I don't want to spoil anything for you because you've only seen the first episode?
I've only seen episode 1 of season 3, yes. I'm
not a huge fan of season 3. I think it takes some backward steps. Mm-hmm. You've seen the first episode. My main problem with the first episode, which they don't continue with this. So episodes 2 and 3 are better about this. But in 3-1, I think that they kind of turned this version of Sherlock into Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Sherlock.
Right.
So he was a lot goofier and sillier on purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always a super weird character, and he's super awkward, and he's got Asperger's or something. And
he's just a genius.
Yeah, and so he always is in silly situations, but it wasn't like he was goofy on purpose. But in the first episode of the 3rd season, he kind of was.
Yeah.
But they did fix that in 2 and 3, so that was not my problem. In fact, 3-2 wasn't that bad of an episode. I think I liked it. 3-3 just kind of went off the rails to me.
Okay.
And it ends kind of in a way I don't like, but you gotta see it.
I've talked to 3 people about Sherlock's season 3. You and Amanda, and I know where you guys stand. You guys kind of have the same opinion, kind of about what happened, if I'm not mistaken. And then another coworker who I work with, Raymond, and he really, really liked and appreciated where the end of the season was going. So I've got 2 different views. I'm curious which one I'm going to fall in. I probably am thinking I'm going to like it more than you did, but just because I think you're a lot more critical about stuff like this than me. I go into these kind of with my mind off a little bit and just sit down and enjoy it.
There are some things that happen in 3 that I think are super far-fetched that even you might have a problem with.
Oh, I really hope that you're wrong, just for the sake of me enjoying this.
I still enjoy it, but I think that the season 2 of this show was brilliant. All 3 episodes were super good, and
I agree with you on that one.
I just could. That's where I really got hooked on the show. If you want to watch it, it is on Netflix and Hulu, as far as the first 2 seasons.
Yes, season 1, season 2 are there. The only place you can find season 3 at this point is on PBS. I watch them through my Roku app for the PBS. If you have an Apple TV, you can probably watch it there too.
I'm guessing you can probably stream them online.
Or even if you go online, I'm sure you'll find them there. I'm almost positive, because all the app is an extension of the webpage. So check it out. If you're not interested, go back and start with season 1. You will do yourself a disservice if you start later, because each episode builds off of the other.
I barely remember it, but the episode 1 of season 1 is super, super good. I thought it was really intriguing and very, very good at building the character that the modern Sherlock is.
Yep. I remember our conversations about season 1. Specifically episode 1, and you were floored with it and how well it was. So
yeah,
they're really good. I don't know that I've met someone who hasn't liked them, at least in a little bit. So if you haven't watched them, definitely worth checking out.
Do you watch any other shows that are coming out right now?
I was watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I really, really tried to stick with that show and really hoped it was going to get better, and it got progressively worse. To the point where I was questioning why I was even sitting down and watching the show, wasting my time.
But you watch a lot of shows compared to me, so that's pretty low.
Yes, the fact that I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the first show that I've actually watched where I've said, no, I'm not going to watch this anymore just because I don't want to waste my time with this.
Which is very telling, because you watched all of TNG, didn't you? Or not TNG, original series.
I've watched all of the original Star Treks, and I got through those, but I could not force myself through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That show was just so stupid, and it just got progressively worse. And if it picks up and it gets better, great. I might force myself through the rest of season 1 and catch up to where it gets good again. But I gave up on that show. The other shows that I'm watching, keeping up with, is Community. That they just started season 5, and I like what they've done so far.
I think I need to catch up on that one.
I don't think you're that far behind.
I'm only one behind.
And then, they didn't release an episode last week.
Oh, okay, then I think I am caught up.
Yeah.
Because I saw the Fat Dog episode.
I think that was the most recent one, yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I actually just got up on tonight. I watched the most recent episode. That show's pretty funny.
I'm behind on that one.
Andy Samberg I think is really great.
Terry Crews is great in that show.
I think they have a great cast for that show.
I think I like everybody except the secretary.
Really?
I can't stand the secretary.
Oh, I think she's weird.
She's very whiny and annoying. And she's really bad at her job.
Have you caught?
They're all bad at their jobs in a way.
Yeah, they all are terrible at their jobs. But the secretary, she's bad at her job. Her whiny. That's the way she actually, I think, is in real life. Which explains why she really hasn't gotten a lot of casting jobs. But I think she fits the personality for the secretary well. If you watch last week's episode entitled "The Party," have you seen that one yet?
I'm behind.
Okay. That one was pretty funny in how they used her. So I definitely check that one out. But I caught up with Brooklyn Nine, and that is a show that I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping up.
Show we both like is the Goldbergs.
I am actually also keeping up with the Goldbergs. I have to force myself into that show a little bit more than as far as I'm losing interest in that.
You like the Goldbergs less than Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yes.
Weird. So the Goldbergs, if you don't know, is a family in 1980 something is what he says in the show, and it's about a little kid and his family. And I don't know the name of the actor that plays the dad. You know, he's a dude who's also the white dad in Daddy Daycare.
The white fat man.
Yeah, the guy that's not Steve Zahn and the guy that's not Eddie Murphy. So
yes,
that guy.
That guy.
He's a hilarious, kind of emotionally distant father, and then there's a very overbearing mother, a very stupid oldest son, a very rebellious teenage daughter, and then a kind of nerd
kid, and then they live with their grandpa who's 70 some years old and is trying to get dates still. He thinks he's trying to be young, and so there's definitely some good episodes in that. I'm caught up in that one as well, but it's easier for me to turn on Brooklyn Nine-Nine than it is for me to turn on Goldbergs.
Are you keeping up with Last Man Standing?
I've stopped watching that show at the beginning of season 2. I watched a little bit of that, and I just kind of fell off. I lost interest.
I've watched a bunch of the episodes from this season. It's kind of funny, but it's more of a catch show. Like if I've watched everything else, I'll throw it on.
Okay. That's really about it as far as the new stuff. I'm watching a bunch of old stuff too. Oh,
have you ever tried watching Parks and Recreation?
I have not.
That's a show that I've heard a lot of people talk positively about. I don't think it's that funny.
Is that the one with Michael Cera?
No. That's
Arrested Development.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Arrested Development.
Parks and Recreation is supposed to be kind of like The Office. It feels a lot like The Office. But it's, I don't know.
Kind of Officed out.
It's kind of funny. It's about a small town government.
Okay.
But it's I don't know. It's super funny because now it's the joke if Amanda and I are at home and she doesn't pick something to watch and we don't have something that we're gonna watch. I'm like, I'm just gonna throw on Parks and Recreation. She's just like, no, it's so dumb. But yeah, I don't know. I don't get the hype about that show. I don't really.
Yeah, you're also you're catching up on late seasons of Big Bang Theory as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going through season 4.
I gave you 4.
5 is right there, so I'm on season 4.
Yes. Yeah, that's a funny show as well.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this outside of the show. I think that shows tend to go crazy after their second season. The first 2 seasons of Community, the best seasons. I think it's hard to argue that.
I agree with that.
Better Off Ted had 2 seasons.
Both of those were good.
They were amazing. The first 2 seasons of Big Bang Theory, very good. I think there are funny parts in the other seasons, but the first 2 seasons were much more straight comedy,
right,
with a lot less drama.
Right.
There was another show I was talking about with Amanda. Oh, Sherlock, I think it was. The first 2 seasons of Sherlock, especially the second season, is amazing. The third one falls off the track a little bit.
Okay.
Like, I need to find some shows that don't fall off the rails after the second season.
How many? You're not gonna agree with. I don't know that you'll agree with me because you haven't watched these. But there's a sci-fi series called Stargate Atlantis. Not a lot of people like it, but that is shown that I would argue is pretty good straight through. As far as the different stories that they take in, you can check it out for yourselves. I actually have all 5 seasons of that. That's, and then, but yeah, your thing though is that shows go bad when they have drama in them.
Comedies go bad when they have drama.
Comedies. Okay.
I like when comedies are comedies and, dramas are dramas. So like Sherlock can have some drama in it and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sherlock is a serious show. I have a problem with shows that are supposed to be comedy deciding that they are going to be something other than comedy. And it usually annoys me because the reason I like the show is because of comedy, not drama. Your leg is bouncing the camera slowly down.
It is. Wow.
Before we lose sight of ourselves, I think we're going to have to end the show.
Okay. Which is terrible, but, we do what we gotta do.
Give us a rundown, Drewby. What did you do this week? Anything interesting?
No, not yet. I've been playing Dark Souls. That's really all I've been doing.
I'm going to play a lot of Dark Souls while I'm batching it up.
Yep, I'm going to be getting into Dark Souls, and then I'm going to be playing 999. I'm going to start. I'm going to pick that up, and I'm going to play through that, and I'm going to finish that game.
I'm going to play some Chrono Trigger. I think I'm going to play some Jazz Punk after Payday.
Yeah,
that's a short game.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not really too interested in those games, so I've got plenty of games. I've kind of resigned myself to not buy games until I start playing through, unless it's Titanfall, and then I'll buy that.
We've still got a month or so. It's Titanfall.
Yeah, we do. We have less than a month actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just
chucking through Dark Souls.
That's really all I'm probably going to be doing. Is just chucking through that game.
There's a video that we posted of us playing Samurai Gun on the site. Yeah, that was super fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Later on, we had a 4th person come in, and it just got nuts.
That game is really good.
Yeah, I got that game for Christmas from my brother-in-law Blake, and just now played it because it's kind of a local multiplayer thing.
Okay.
And that was crazy.
Yeah, that was
super fun Sunday.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed my time with that. I want to pick that game up and play with my brothers here.
Yeah, figuring out the bullets and then bouncing the bullets off the swords and then figuring out the sword mechanics, the jumping and the sticking to the walls.
Yeah. Titanfall, man. Titanfall.
I say we keep going until your head's out of the frame.
You know what? How long before that happens?
I don't know. This is the height of laziness right now.
I've met a guy today. I didn't meet him, but I saw one. It is always surprising me when I see people who are taller than me. Like,
that is rare.
It does not happen a lot, but
there we go.
There it is.
There's no one taller than you. We don't have room for that.
There we go.
All right, Drewby. Say goodbye to the camera.
All right, bye, camera.
Oh no, that's not the... There we go.
What?